Chrisean finna be on the run because somebody was able to send pictures to the police department of Chrisean's junior genital parts, and they said he was bleeding from his diaper. She allegedly has not been taking him to his hernia surgeries, so they're not up to date as well. He also has severe diaper.
Stop scrolling, because what's unfolding right now isn't drama, it's fear. According to emotional posts and circulating clips, Chrisean Rock has publicly pleaded for help after a frightening medical emergency involving her son, Chrisean Jr. This isn't speculation about relationships or online beef. This is a mother sounding the alarm while her child's health hangs in the balance. Reports spreading online claim that Chrisean Jr. experienced severe breathing distress linked to fluid in his lungs. Nothing has been officially confirmed by doctors, and no medical records have been released. But the urgency in Chrisean Rock's reaction has shaken even long-time critics. Videos and messages show panic, confusion, and desperation, not performance. Fans reacted instantly. Some expressed concern and prayers. Others questioned why such a serious situation appeared to be playing out online instead of privately. But one thing became clear very quickly. Whatever people think of Chrisean Rock, this moment cut past opinions. Because when a child struggles to breathe, judgment pauses. What's making this situation even heavier is the lack of clear information. No hospital statement, no timeline, just fragments of posts, emotional language, and a mother asking for help in real time. And in the absence of facts, fear spreads fast. Supporters are urging compassion. Critics are urging privacy. Everyone is asking the same question. Is Chrisean Jr. okay? This isn't about blame. It's about vulnerability. It's about what happens when personal crisis collides with a public platform. And it's about whether the internet knows how to slow down when real lives are involved. Because once health emergencies enter the conversation, especially involving a child, the stakes change completely. To understand why this moment hit so hard, you have to look at the environment Chrisean Rock has been navigating long before this emergency. Her life has played out loudly, emotionally, and often under intense scrutiny. Supporters see someone raw and unfiltered. Critics see instability. But regardless of opinion, one thing has always been true. Her personal life rarely stays private. Since becoming a mother, Chrisean Rock has been under a microscope. Every decision, every post, every absence has been analysed in real time. That pressure matters, because when emergencies happen, people don't always respond calmly or conventionally, especially when they're already living in survival mode. According to observers, her decision to go public during a crisis wasn't calculated. It looked impulsive, panicked, and driven by fear rather than strategy. Very little has been confirmed about Chrisean Jr.'s condition. Online claims reference breathing distress and fluid-related complications, but there has been no official medical explanation released. That lack of clarity created a vacuum, and the internet rushed to fill it. Some fans shared personal stories of similar childhood emergencies. Others speculated irresponsibly. Many simply pleaded for updates. What made this situation different from typical online chaos was the tone. This didn't feel performative. It felt urgent. Clips and messages attributed to Chrisean Rock showed confusion, exhaustion, and desperation. The kind that doesn't translate as content, only as crisis. Even long-time skeptics paused, acknowledging that panic doesn't follow rules. The context also includes a long-standing debate around boundaries. Should moments like this ever be shared publicly? Some argue that going online risks misinformation and exploitation. Others point out that Chrisean Rock's audience is one of the few support systems she consistently turns to. In moments of fear, people reach for what they know. And that's the uncomfortable reality sitting underneath this story. When someone lives publicly, their emergencies often become public too, not by design, but by reflex. The question isn't just what happened to Chrisean Jr., or it's whether the world knows how to respond when the situation is real, unfolding, and deeply human. Because once a child's health is involved, The conversation should change. As the hours passed, tension didn't rise because of new facts. It rose because of uncertainty. With no official update on Chrisean Jr.'s condition, the internet began doing what it always does in a vacuum, speculating. Clips were replayed, words were dissected, timelines were guessed, and in the middle of it all, a mother's fear became public debate. Supporters of Chrisean Rock flooded comment sections urging compassion, reminding others that panic doesn't come with polished explanations. Many pointed out that when a child is in distress, especially involving breathing, rational communication often disappears. Fear takes over, and fear doesn't wait for confirmation before it reacts. But criticism grew just as fast. Some questioned why such a serious medical situation appeared to be shared online at all. They argued that public posting could invite misinformation, unnecessary pressure, and even exploitation. Others countered that Chrisean Rock has never operated with filters, and expecting composure during a crisis ignores her reality. What intensified the tension was the language circulating online. Phrases like choking on lung fluid spread rapidly, often without context or verification. Medical professionals in comment sections cautioned against assuming diagnoses, reminding people that respiratory distress can mean many things, and that speculation can do real harm. Still, the phrase stuck, fueling alarm. Meanwhile, the Chrisean Rock's silence after the initial posts only heightened anxiety. For some, it suggested the situation was serious. For others, it was a sign she had stepped away to focus on her child. The most reasonable explanation, yet the least comforting in the moment. Without updates, fear filled the space. The tension also exposed a deeper issue: how unforgiving the internet can be when someone's life has been labelled chaotic. Some critics used the moment to revisit old judgments, questioning parenting choices instead of focusing on the emergency itself. Supporters pushed back hard, arguing that no past behaviour justifies turning a child's health scare into a character trial. At this stage, the story was no longer about what exactly happened medically. It was about how quickly compassion competes with commentary online, and how easily urgency gets swallowed by opinion. The longer answers were delayed, the louder speculation became. And that's what made this moment so volatile. Not because of confirmed danger, but because of unresolved fear. The kind that spreads faster than facts and leaves everyone bracing for news they hope never comes. The turning point came not with new information, but with a shift in tone. As hours passed without updates, the conversation began to slow. Not because people lost interest, but because many realized the limits of speculation when a child's health is involved. According to observers, this was the moment concerns started to outweigh commentary. Supporters began urging restraint, reminding others that real-time medical emergencies rarely come with play-by-play updates. They pointed out that silence doesn't automatically mean worsening conditions. It often means focus. In moments like this, stepping away from social media can be the most responsible choice, even if it leaves the public uneasy. At the same time, calls for compassion grew louder. Viewers emphasized that regardless of opinions about Chrisean Rock, this situation centered on a child, Chrisean Jr., whose well-being should never be turned into content or debate. That reminder changed the temperature of comment sections that had previously been spiraling. This was also when medical professionals and advocates began pushing back against the language being used online. They cautioned that phrases circulating on social media were imprecise and potentially misleading. Respiratory distress can present in many ways, they noted, and assigning causes without confirmation can heighten panic rather than help. The message was clear: concern is valid, conjecture is not. For Chrisean Rock, this moment appeared to mark a boundary. After the initial pleas, her absence from the conversation suggested a decision to prioritize her child over the noise. Whether that choice was interpreted as responsible or unsettling depended on perspective, but many agreed it was understandable. This turning point reframed the story. It was no longer about what people thought they knew. It became about how the internet responds when reality intrudes on entertainment cycles. How quickly audiences can pivot from reaction to restraint, and how important that pivot is when the stakes are this high. Because when a child's health is at the center, the most meaningful response isn't speculation. It's space. As the conversation continued, escalation didn't come from new updates. It came from emotion. With no confirmed information released, anxiety lingered, and the internet split into two very different reactions. One side leaned into empathy, urging patience and privacy for Chrisean Rock as she focused on her child. The other side, less restrained, began revisiting old narratives, allowing past controversies to color how they interpreted the moment. That contrast intensified everything. Supporters emphasized a simple truth: medical emergencies don't follow content schedules. They reminded people that hospitals don't issue instant explanations, and parents in crisis rarely have the capacity to manage public expectations. To them, the absence of updates wasn't suspicious, it was human. Critics, however, questioned the decision to involve social media at all. They argued that once a crisis is shared publicly, it inevitably invites scrutiny. Some expressed concern that emotionally charged language could spread panic or misinformation. Others crossed a line, turning fear into judgment, and that's where backlash surged. Advocacy voices stepped in, calling out how quickly compassion can disappear online when someone's life has been labeled chaotic. They warned against conflating a parent's public persona with their response to a medical emergency. A crisis doesn't become less real because the person experiencing it lives publicly. What escalated the situation most was repetition. Clips were reposted without context. Headlines condensed fear into a few alarming words. Each reshare amplified anxiety without adding clarity. By now, the story had evolved into a cautionary example of how quickly urgency can be distorted once it's filtered through algorithms. Amid all of this, Chrisean Rock remained offline. For many, that silence finally reframed the moment. It suggested a clear shift away from public engagement and toward presence, being where she needed to be most. And while the internet continued to debate, a growing number of voices called for the same thing: pause. Because escalation isn't always loud. And sometimes it's the slow build-up of fear when answers aren't immediate. And the reminder that not everything needs to be analysed in real time. This is where the story needs to pause. Not because everything is resolved, but because this moment was never meant to be consumed the way entertainment usually is. No official medical updates have been released. No confirmed diagnoses have been shared. And most importantly, Chrisean Rock has stepped away from the public eye, likely doing the one thing that matters most right now: focusing on her child, Chrisean Jr. What this situation exposed wasn't scandal. It was vulnerability. A mother in fear reached out in real time, and the internet responded in every way it knows how. With support, with criticism, with speculation, and with noise. But as the hours passed, one truth became unavoidable. When a child's health is involved, restraint matters more than reaction. There are moments when commentary adds value, and there are moments when silence is the most respectful response. Regardless of how people feel about Chrisean Rock, this was not a performance. Panic doesn't follow scripts. Fear doesn't wait for verification. And parenting during a crisis doesn't come with perfect decisions. The expectation of composure in moments like this often comes from distance, not understanding. If anything, this situation should serve as a reminder of how quickly urgency can turn into speculation online, and how important it is to slow down when real lives are involved. Health emergencies, especially involving children, are not storylines. They're moments that deserve care, privacy, and patience. So now, the only appropriate question isn't what happened. It's how do we respond when it does? If you're watching this, keep Chrisean Jr. in your thoughts. Extend compassion before judgment. And remember that not every moment needs commentary. Some moments need space. If you stayed through the entire video, hit like, not for drama, but for empathy. Subscribe and turn on notifications for updates, only when confirmed information is available. Some stories don't need speculation, they need humanity.